Recording started.
Hello there. Hi, this is Bill Milford, and I'm pleased to bring you this little online mini seminar on family games at Northfield. And this is exploring how in like our little previous seminars, we talked about families as small groups. And one of the things we talked about was that as you move on through the agenda of the day, you might find yourself with some open time where you just want to be creative and think of things to do, activities to participate in. And games are a great way to go about building a connection with between the folks in your group. So let's think about for a second, what is a game? Oh, such a heavy thing to ponder. Well, a game as opposed to a conversation or other kind of activity, number one, it's got some rules, just a little structure to it that talk about this is how we do this. So it's got some rules and a purpose to it. The other piece of it is that usually it's fun. Now there are games that are designed to be more intense or insightful, but generally games are fun. So when you mention games to people, that's the first thing they'll think of is, oh, this is going to be sort of fun or humorous. Well, that fun or humorous can be based upon whether people perceive the game to actually be inclusive, because there also is our childhood history with games where we wonder, are we actually going to get picked for the game? So the inclusiveness of a game is sort of defined by whether people feel like this is actually something they'd like to participate in. Now, sometimes you can use a little peer pressure that will help people to participate in something. And in general, what you want to do is to be able to have them participate somewhere that's in their comfort zone. But it can be that if people want to stretch a little bit, that they'll go off and move into their learning zone. And that makes that a little bit more of an area where they didn't think they would like it, but you know what, I tried it, I liked it. Yeah, that's a good, nice little stretch. The place we prefer not to go is into the anxiety zone. And that's where people have actually just gone way beyond where they feel comfortable and become so self-conscious that even though they're included within the game, they feel excluded because they're so anxious about the whole process. So we're going to try to stay in the comfort zone or the learning zone when we choose an activity that we're going to propose for our group. Now, social anxiety is the experience that adults and kids have where interacting with others becomes no fun. And there are levels of social anxiety that occur within any kind of setting. Certainly in larger groups where people feel uncomfortable going into crowds and large groups of people because there's so much interaction can be very difficult. In a family, a Northfield family, because there's some intimacy there, the social anxiety can be heightened for people who feel very protective of themselves, or it can feel more comfortable for the folks who don't like to be anonymous within a crowd. That is, they like to know people a little bit. So the important point for you is to actually pay attention and try to see how are people reacting to various things, and look for the social anxiety signs of people feeling self-conscious or not feeling involved within the group activity itself. And another bonus of games is sometimes they can be insightful. And that is, you can set up games that will have people talking about themselves, providing a little self-disclosure, and that really helps for people to feel a sense of connection. Now, that sense of connection can come on different levels. People can feel connected to themselves, or they can feel connected to the group, or sometimes it can be sort of a theological pondering that will help them to feel more spiritually connected. And these things help with a sense of the connection with self, we refer to as wholeness. The connection with others helps to build community. The connection with spirit gives a sense of continuity, a sense of being part of a bigger picture of things or bigger plan of life. And so those kinds of games can be very moving for folks to participate in. So one of the ways you can go about trying to figure out whether a game is going to be appropriate for your family or not is to do a game analysis. And a game analysis is just to quickly take a look at it and see on those different variables that I mentioned on a scale of fun, inclusion, social anxiety, and insight and connection as to whether it's going to fit for your group. Here I've provided two game analyses for two games that are sort of commonly done up at Northfield. One is questions in a hat, where you pass around a hat and everybody puts in a question they'd like to hear people respond to. And you just pull out the question and random people respond to it if they want to. It can be fun depending on the question. It's very inclusive because everybody can participate as they choose, so you can still be part of the game and not actually participate in the game, but you're not excluded out as a result of that. And the social anxiety is not too bad, again, because you can pass if you don't want to answer a question. And there can be insight with it. The next game I looked at was Ha Ha, and this is actually Ha Ha right here, where people are sticking their heads on each other's bellies, and then somebody starts going ha, 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 ha. And that can be way fun. I've been involved in ha-has that got people just about peeing in their pants because they thought it was way fun. With the right folks. Is it inclusive? Well, it depends on whether you're the kind of person that feels comfortable lying down on the ground, the kind of person that feels comfortable with people lying on your belly. Now, could you feel comfortable with that at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week and not at the beginning of the week? Sure. It can create high social anxiety because people are very, very intimate. Same thing with games like Pretzel or, you get wrapped up in a knot when people are trying to undo folks, and you're very tightly and intimately together. And some folks will feel more comfortable with that than others. And can you get insight from the ha-ha game? Well, maybe not so much. Well, it depends on what you're trying to get insight on. This is not to say Questions in a Hat is a better game than ha-ha. It means that really the point is to try to know who your audience is, get to know your group members and figure out what will be the things that will be the best fit for them. And then you can move them incrementally along towards games that might have a higher social interaction component to it. So the real tough piece for the facilitator is for you to come prepared. Bring a toolbox filled with games. That is, start thinking about topics, questions you'd like to ask. Bring some paper and pens. Write down some games from childhood or adult. Look in some resource books. Bring with yourself a whole list of things so that if you feel like you've got some downtime and you want to come up with some suggestions, you'll have a whole list of things to pick from and you won't feel like you're stuck with one or two ideas. And you can also ask the group members, is there any game that anybody here would like to suggest? And you just want to make sure that it's one that fits the mood, the situation, the playfulness, and the comfort level of your group. So our summary here is games are great. Just be clear about how they're done. It's nice when they got some fun in them. Make sure that they're within each member's comfort zone, and that means that you've got to know your group. You've got to pay attention to them and their responses to things. And the more games you've got, the more tools you've got in your toolkit in order to be able to feel like you've got some choices that you can make. And a great way to go about a game is not only to talk about it beforehand and then do it, but then talk about it afterwards. Promote a little insight and connection, which brings some interaction and deepens the level of discourse between you and your family members. And that's our little presentation on games at Northfield. Thanks very much, and look forward to talking with you again.